Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our sports commentary program. If there's one match that truly encapsulates all the drama, excitement, and sometimes even the sheer madness of English football, it has to be what unfolded yesterday afternoon at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester. It was an afternoon, or rather, an evening, full of twists and turns, where Manchester City experienced every emotion imaginable, from pure euphoria to intense anxiety, and finally, absolute relief and elation with a moment of pure genius from Phil Foden. We have to admit, it had been a troubling few days for City. Recent defeats in the Premier League against Newcastle and that surprising loss to Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League had cast a gloomy shadow over the Etihad. Invisible pressure was mounting on Pep Guardiola and his squad. Fans were beginning to question whether their peak form was waning, whether opponents had finally found answers to the City problem. But any negativity can quickly be eradicated if they can secure 3 points against Leeds yesterday afternoon, propelling them back up to second in the Premier League table. With no international breaks now until the end of March, we are very much immersed in the most intense and unforgiving period of the season. And with the Blues still challenging on all four fronts, well, everyone expected City to dominate possession, to control the midfield, and to launch wave after wave of attacks. Those predictions were quickly validated. Barely had the whistle blown to start the match, and the Etihad erupted. In the second minute of the game, yes, you heard that right, within the first 90 seconds, Manchester City had already scored the opening goal. It was a lovely exchange of passes down the right flank. Matheus Nunes pushed high, receiving the ball from Bernardo Silva, before delivering a dangerous waist-high cross into the box. Phil Foden, with his incredibly sharp positional sense, was there at the right moment to guide the ball into the net. His touch seemed to come off his knee, but it hardly mattered. The ball kissed the underside of the bar and went in. A sensational early strike, putting Manchester City 1-0 up. The Etihad faithful went absolutely wild. What a dream start for the Sky Blues. In the minutes that followed, City continued to assert their dominance. They pinned Leeds back in their own half, constantly creating dangerous opportunities. In the 18th minute, Foden unleashed another powerful shot, but Bogle was quick to block it, diverting it for a corner. From the resulting set piece, Guardiola had a clear header from close range, but his technique betrayed him slightly, and the ball went wide. However, Foden continued to be a livewire, hitting a first-time shot from outside the box that forced a spectacular tip-over from goalkeeper Perry, earning another corner for City. And then, from that very second corner, Manchester City doubled their lead. Reinders delivered a truly wicked and swinging cross, right into the congested 6-yard box of Leeds. O'Reilly nearly got a touch, but ultimately, it was Josko Gvardiol who bundled the ball over the line. A close-range finish after a scramble in the box, giving the Croatian defender his first goal of the season. City were 2-0 up. In the 29th minute, the score stood at 2-0, and everything seemed firmly under the home side's control. 2 goals in just under half an hour. A flawless start. Leeds, a team known for their relentless fighting spirit, weren't entirely disheartened. They tried to find opportunities on the counterattack, but City's defense held firm. Still, Manchester City remained in command of the game. Wave after wave of attacks came from both wings, with sharp passes into the center. Bernardo Silva, Matheus Nunes, Nico, Reinders, and Doe all created clear chances. Reinders seemed to be having a cursed afternoon, with his shots either saved by goalkeeper Perry or narrowly missing the target. He must have felt jinxed, as the ball just refused to find the back of the net. Even a close-range shot from Nico was brilliantly saved by Perry with his foot. Almost instinctively, with very little time to react, a 3-0 lead seemed tantalizingly close. However, football, as we know, always holds incredible surprises. Just over 20 minutes into the second half, in the 65th minute to be precise, a momentary lapse in concentration from the Manchester City defense proved costly. From a seemingly innocuous play, Foden, the early hero, made a critical mistake, losing possession in midfield. Tanaka quickly passed it to Calvert-Lewin, and the Leeds striker made no mistake, finishing clinically to pull a goal back, making it 2-1. This goal came from a sequence that City felt was offside in the build-up. But the referee waved play on. Calvert-Lewin put it over the line. And Leeds suddenly had a lifeline. A fatal error by City, and abruptly, the game became incredibly exciting. Leeds were back in it. Tension began to fill the Etihad. Leeds gained confidence and started playing with renewed vigor. Just moments later, ladies and gentlemen, just minutes after their first goal, another dramatic twist. In the 68th minute, Pep Guardiola, who had scored City's second goal, conceded a foul on Bogle inside the penalty area. The referee had no hesitation in pointing to the spot. A penalty for Leeds. From being 2 goals up, City now faced the very real threat of conceding an equalizer. The entire Etihad held its breath. On the penalty spot, Meta faced goalkeeper Donnarumma. The Leeds striker stepped up, struck the ball. Donnarumma dove the right way and made the save. The Etihad erupted in a mixture of hope and relief. But the joy was short-lived. The ball rebounded straight back to Meta, who, quick as a flash, pounced on the loose ball and tucked it into the empty net. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Meta made no mistake with his second chance. The score was leveled at 2-2. Unbelievable. From a 2-goal lead, Manchester City had allowed Leeds to stage a spectacular comeback. A genuine earthquake had almost occurred at the Etihad. The emotions at that moment were simply breathtaking. With the score at 2-2, chaos ensued. Manchester City threw everything forward, desperate to avoid a draw at home, especially after their recent run of indifferent results. Wave after wave of attacks were launched, from long passes over the top to Doe's dazzling runs down the left wing, and powerful shots from outside the box. Doe had a brilliant run into the penalty area, but his shot was saved by Perry and went out for a corner. Later, Barmouche had a decent header on target, but it was too close to the goalkeeper, lacking the power to beat him. Time continued to tick away, the clock winding down to the final minutes of the match. The score remained 2-2. Everyone thought Leeds had achieved the impossible, that they had secured a historic draw at the Etihad. But then, in those moments when hope seemed to be at its lowest ebb, football once again showed us why it is the beautiful game. In the very last minute of stoppage time, as everyone prepared for the final whistle, Manchester City relentlessly attacked. The ball fell to Foden on the edge of the penalty area. He seemed to lose control for a split second, but then, with the instinct of a true predator, he unleashed a decisive shot, a strike that threaded its way through a forest of Leeds defenders, flying straight into the net, leaving goalkeeper Perry helpless. Yes, a goal. It's a goal. Phil Foden. It was Phil Foden, the man who opened the scoring, who bagged the winning goal in the very last minute to rescue Manchester City. The entire Etihad exploded, roars and cheers from tens of thousands of blue-clad fans. Manchester City players rushed to celebrate as if they had just won the Champions League. It was a goal in the 92nd minute. A late, dramatic goal, securing a 3-2 victory for Manchester City. Foden, once again, proved his worth to the club. He was not only the one who started it all, but also the one who finished the game in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. If you're going to make a run at the Premier League title, you've got to find winners in stoppage time like this. And Manchester City found that in Phil Foden. A game where Leeds played with incredible courage. They nearly pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the season. But in the end, the class and a moment of genius from a star player spoke volumes at just the right time. Manchester City secured a 3-2 victory over Leeds United yesterday afternoon at the Etihad. A win that means more than just 3 points. It's a testament to their character, their never-say-die attitude, and their ability to find those golden moments from the stars in their squad. As for Leeds, despite the loss, they delivered a commendable performance, showing they are not an easy opponent to bully. That's football, ladies and gentlemen, full of drama, full of surprises, and full of emotion. We will be talking about this match for a long time to come. Goodbye and see you in our next broadcast.